I still remember how my hand was shaking when I first asked her out. It was junior year, after chemistry. She was leaning against her locker, tucking her hair behind her ear, scribbling something into a notebook, probably cramming for a quiz. I was holding my backpack strap like it was a life preserver, telling myself, just say it. Just open your mouth. Hey, Jess. She looked up with that raised eyebrow that always made me forget what words were. I somehow mumbled out something about coffee. She smiled, small, crooked, knowing, and said, okay, but you're paying. I like extra whipped cream. That was it. That's where 5 years started. We were together through high school, then college. We moved in together during her second year. Rented this tiny top-floor apartment in Coeur d'Alene. The floors creaked, the heater barely worked, and the walls were paper-thin. But we made it ours. She had this thing where she'd talk to her plants like they were roommates. Come on, Daisy, you can do it. Just one more leaf. I used to tease her for it, but secretly, I liked hearing her voice in the background. It made the place feel alive. Every Friday was our night. Didn't matter how broke we were. We made it work. Grocery store frozen pizza. Drive-through tacos. Movie marathons in sweatpants. There was this dumb game we played where she'd hide snacks around the apartment and make me find them during the movie. I thought I had it good. I knew I had it good. We got engaged last year. I didn't do anything big. Just dinner, a candle, and the ring I'd been hiding in the bottom of a sock drawer for 3 months. My hands were shaking again, just like that first day. She cried, said yes, told me I made her feel safe, and I really believed we were building a life together. Which is why the night she walked in and told me she needed to be alone felt like getting punched with a sentence. She looked pale, like she hadn't slept in days. Her eyes were red and puffy. I'd just gotten home from work, sat down with my shoes still on, halfway into a YouTube rabbit hole, when she came in and stood there like she was bracing for impact. Can we talk? She said. I paused the video, thinking it was going to be something small, maybe about the dishes, or her classes, but then she said it, slowly, like peeling off a bandage. I think I need to be single. For a while. I remember laughing. Not because it was funny, but because my brain glitched. I thought maybe she was joking. I said, what? What do you mean? She looked down at her hands, rubbed her thumb over her ring, didn't look at me when she said, I love you. I do. But I feel like I never had a chance to be on my own. I've never not been someone's girlfriend. I need to know what it's like to just be me. My first instinct was to fix it. I said, we can slow down. No pressure on the wedding. Just stay. Take space if you need it, but don't leave. She shook her head. I already made up my mind. That sentence made something cold settle into my chest. I don't even remember how the rest of the conversation went. I just remember feeling like I was watching her from outside my body. Like it wasn't real. Eventually, I asked her, is there someone else? She froze, then said, no, not exactly. I want to be able to say yes if someone asks. That hurt in a way I still don't know how to explain. She packed a bag that night. Just a few things. Said she'd be staying with Amber. I watched her walk out the door, and I swear to God, I kept expecting her to turn around, to say, just kidding, or I can't do it. She didn't. That night, I drove around for hours. Ended up on Jake's couch. I didn't sleep. Just lay there staring at the ceiling fan, trying to make sense of how fast everything collapsed. She kept texting after that. I didn't read a single one. Deleted every message. Blocked her on everything. Instagram, phone, email, even Venmo, like an idiot. Because it was easier to pretend she didn't exist than deal with the fact that she didn't want me anymore. The apartment felt haunted. Her shampoo in the shower. Her scrunchie on the doorknob. That stupid succulent she gave me for my birthday still sitting by the window. I don't even know why I watered it. Habit, maybe. Or denial. I stopped eating for a while. Called out of work twice. Claimed I was sick. Jake tried to pull me out of it, but I wasn't ready. I didn't want advice. I didn't want comfort. I wanted to stop waking up hoping it was just a dream. Eventually, I went back to work, started taking extra shifts. Just to keep busy. My coworker, Phil, guy in his 40s, been through a rough divorce, noticed something was off. He never pushed. Just sat with me during lunch, let me vent. It helped more than he probably knows. 3 months passed. No contact. Not a word. I started to feel numb instead of broken, which I guess is progress. Until that one afternoon. I pulled into my driveway and saw a silver Honda across the street. Something about it made my stomach flip. I didn't recognize it right away, but something felt off. I got out, went to unlock my door, and heard it. Ryan. I turned, and there she was. Jessica. Pregnant. She looked different. Not just because of the belly, though yeah, that was impossible to miss. But her face, it was softer, paler, tired. Her eyes found mine, and I saw it instantly. Fear, hope, guilt, all mashed into one look. I'd seen her cry before, sure. But this was something else. I froze. Key still in my hand. Door half unlocked. Jess stood there with one arm cradling her stomach and the other gripping the strap of her bag like she was ready to run. I'm sorry, she said. I didn't answer. She took a shaky breath. I know I shouldn't be here. But I tried calling. I left messages. You blocked me. I didn't know what else to do. I looked at her belly again, then back at her. What the hell is this, Jess? My voice sounded flat, distant, like it belonged to someone else. You left. You said you needed to find yourself. You needed to be alone. And now you show up, pregnant? She stepped forward, just a little. It's yours. I laughed, sharp and bitter. More of a bark, really. Come on. It is, she said, her voice breaking. I didn't know when I left. I swear I didn't. But I found out a few weeks later. I shook my head. You broke up with me to go see what's out there. So forgive me if I don't jump to believe that this baby is mine. She swallowed hard. I get that. I do. But I haven't been with anyone else. Not since you. Not even close. I didn't say anything. She looked down, wiped at her face. I didn't come here to demand anything. I needed you to know. I've been trying to tell you for months. And why now? I asked. Because it got too hard doing it on your own? Her lips trembled. No. Because I've been carrying this every day. I've driven by your place a dozen times and kept driving. I chickened out every time. But now I'm getting closer to the due date, and I couldn't keep pretending it's okay that you don't know. I stood there in silence for a second, heart pounding against my ribs. Then, without really thinking, I said, Do you want to come in? She blinked like she didn't expect that. Only if you're okay with that. I stepped aside. She walked past me slowly, looking around like she was stepping into a memory. The apartment hadn't changed much. I didn't redecorate or move furniture. Everything was where it had been, except the photos of us. Those I had shoved in a drawer during the second week after the breakup, after drinking way too much one night and crying harder than I'd ever admit. She noticed the plant by the window, the one she'd given me. You kept it, she said softly. I shrugged. Didn't know what else to do with it. She smiled, just barely, and touched one of the leaves with her fingertips. We sat on the couch, far apart, like strangers. I folded my arms. So talk. She nodded slowly. When I left, I thought I needed to be free, to breathe without thinking about someone else. I felt like I was drowning under expectations, school, the wedding, growing up too fast. I kept telling myself that it was all too much. She looked down at her stomach again. Then I found out I was pregnant. I was 5 weeks along by then. I'd been feeling off for a while but thought it was stress. Took 2 tests. Both positive. I said nothing. I freaked out. Considered abortion. Made an appointment. But I couldn't go through with it. I just couldn't. She glanced at me like she was waiting for judgment. I didn't give her any. Not yet. I wasn't sure I had any left. So why didn't you just tell me? I tried. Her voice cracked. I texted you the next day. Told you I needed to talk. I sent emails. I even went to your mom's house. She told me not to contact you. I blinked. Wait. My mom said that. She nodded. Said you didn't want to hear from me. That you were doing better without me. That tracked. My mom had always been skeptical of our relationship. She thought Jess was too emotional, too reactive. And when Jess left, my mom probably saw it as validation. I rubbed my temples. Jesus. I wasn't trying to trap you, Jess said. Or guilt you. I wanted you to hear it from me. I couldn't carry this and not give you a chance to decide. I exhaled, slow and shaky. Okay. Let's say I believe you. Let's say it is mine. Then what? What do you want from me? She looked stunned for a second. Then she said, barely above a whisper, nothing. Not unless you want to be involved. I'm not here to force anything. I hope maybe you'd at least care. I hated how that sentence cut me open. Because I did care. I still cared so much it made me physically uncomfortable to admit it. I ran a hand through my hair. Have you been to a doctor? Yeah. I have all the ultrasounds. I've been going every month. Can we do a test? A paternity test? Yeah. I need to know. She nodded quickly. I figured you'd want that. I'm asking at my next appointment. They can do it before birth, I think. I'll cover the cost if that's a thing. I studied her. Her hands were clasped together so tightly, her knuckles had gone white. She kept her eyes down like she didn't want to look at me too long in case I disappeared again. The silence hung thick between us. And then, I don't know why I asked this, but it slipped out. Do you want water or something? She blinked. Water, yeah. Sure. Thanks. I got up, walked into the kitchen, filled 2 glasses, and leaned against the counter for a second while the water ran. My head was spinning. I kept seeing that night she left, how she walked away with her hoodie sleeves pulled over her hands, like armor. I brought her the water. Sat down again. We didn't talk much after that. Eventually, she stood. I should go, she said. I've been staying at Amber's. I'll text you the info about the doctor. Okay. She hesitated at the door, then pulled something out of her jacket pocket. A folded letter. I wrote this a while ago. I didn't think I'd ever get the chance to give it to you. She handed it to me. I took it, didn't open it. She looked at me one last time. Thanks for not slamming the door in my face. I didn't say anything. Just stood there as she walked out. When the door closed, I sat down hard on the couch, letter in hand. And for the first time in months, I wasn't angry, just tired. I didn't open the letter right away. I just sat there with it in my hand, staring at the crease in the paper, running my thumb over the soft fold like that was going to tell me what was inside. It smelled faintly like her, that weird floral soap she always used. God, I used to make fun of her for buying it in bulk. I think she secretly loved that. Eventually, I unfolded it. Her handwriting hit me in the gut, loopy, a little messy, exactly the same as when she used to leave me sticky notes on the fridge. Don't forget lunch. I love you more than tacos. Or, please for the love of God buy toilet paper. This one started different. Ryan, if you're reading this, I guess I finally grew a spine and found a way to get it to you. I don't know what to say that will make any of this okay. I wish I could rewind time and shake myself until I made better choices, but I can't. All I can do is tell you the truth and hope it counts for something. Leaving you was the worst decision I've ever made. It felt like cutting off my own arm and trying to walk around like I was fine. I wasn't. I cried myself to sleep more nights than I'll admit. I kept trying to convince myself I was finding myself, but all I found was that I didn't know how to breathe without you. When I found out I was pregnant, I didn't feel joy. I felt panic. Not because of the baby, but because I knew that meant facing what I'd done. Facing you. Facing what I threw away. I'm not asking for anything. Not forgiveness, not a second chance. I just needed you to know that I never stopped loving you. Not for one damn second. I sat there long after I finished reading. Just sitting, staring at the floor. My mind was racing and blank at the same time. That night, I barely slept. I kept picturing her face when she stood on my doorstep. Tired, unsure, hopeful. And the bump. Jesus. There was a literal human inside her. One that could be mine. One that might already have my nose or her eyes or both. The next morning I called Jake. You're calling me before 9 a.m., he said, voice groggy. You good? I think I'm going to be a dad. Dead silence on the other end. Wait, what? He finally said. So I told him. Everything. From the second she showed up to the letter to the test we were waiting on. I told him I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Jake was quiet for a while. Then he said, okay, so what do you want? That was the thing. I didn't know. Part of me wanted to run. Just disappear into the clean lines of a new life where nothing had ever gone wrong. And part of me, the louder part, lately, wanted to reach for her. For us. Even with all the broken pieces. I didn't tell Jake all of that. I just said, I don't want to make another mistake. The doctor's appointment was 2 days later. I didn't plan to go, not officially. I told her I'd think about it. But that morning I woke up, looked around my apartment, and realized I was done pretending I didn't care. So I showed up. She looked surprised to see me in the clinic lobby. But not shocked. More like, relieved. You came, she said, standing up slowly. I shrugged. Didn't want to be a coward. She smiled, small, soft, tired. The nurse called her in, and she looked at me again, this time not asking. Just waiting. I followed her in. The OB was younger than I expected, probably in his mid-30s. Friendly, direct, no BS. He greeted us, asked if I was dad, and just looked at me like I could decide in real time what I wanted to be. I guess we're figuring that out, I said. He nodded like that was fair. The ultrasound was fast. The gel. The wand. The screen lighting up with black and white grainy magic. And then the heartbeat. Fast. Loud. Like a little drum in a faraway cave. I don't know how to describe the feeling except everything else stopped. My ears buzzed. My chest went hot. I didn't realize I'd grabbed Jess's hand until I felt her squeeze mine back. "There's the baby," the doctor said, pointing out the little curve of a spine, the round of a head. Healthy. Growing right on schedule. My mouth was dry. I couldn't look away. That was real. It was happening. I wasn't ready to say anything. Not in that room. But as we were walking back out to the parking lot, Jess stopped me. "I didn't expect you to come," she said. I rubbed the back of my neck. "I didn't either." She looked up at me. "I meant what I said. I'm not trying to pressure you. I'll do this on my own if I have to." "I don't want that," I said before I could think too hard. She looked stunned. "Just for a second." "Really? I don't know how to be a dad. I don't know what we are. But I want to try. Even if it's just showing up." Her eyes shimmered. She nodded. Didn't say anything for a moment. Then, "I'm glad you were there. In the room." "Me too," I said. We stood by her car for another few minutes, awkwardly not saying goodbye. Then I finally asked, "Want to come by tonight? Just to talk. Maybe eat something that isn't drive-through." Her smile was small. Nervous. But real. "Yeah," she said. "I like that." That night, I cleaned the apartment like a man possessed. Not because it was dirty, it wasn't, but because I needed something to do with my hands. I scrubbed the bathroom sink 3 times. Rearranged the pillows on the couch. Even wiped down the kitchen counters with that lemon-scented spray Jess used to love. The place still smelled faintly like her sometimes. Or maybe my brain just filled in the scent out of habit. She showed up around 7. Wearing an oversized flannel shirt and leggings, her hair in a messy bun. She looked real. Not polished. Not like she was trying to impress me. Just herself. The way she used to look on Sunday mornings when we'd make pancakes and drink too much coffee. "Hey," she said when I opened the door. "Hey." She stepped inside slowly. Her eyes scanned the space like she was walking through an old dream. "You moved the lamp," she said, almost teasing. "You used to bump into it every time you got up for water." Her mouth twitched into a half-smile. "Still do." I offered her the couch, and we sat, not too close, not too far. Dinner was leftover pasta I'd made the night before. Nothing fancy. But she didn't care. She ate like she hadn't had a home-cooked meal in a while, and for some reason, that stung a little. "I'm not great at this," I said after a while, pushing a noodle around my plate. "At what?" "Talking. Feeling stuff. Not sounding like a robot." Just laughed, a real laugh, full and warm. "You've always been bad at feelings. But you've never been a robot." I shrugged. "Sometimes I think it'd be easier if I was." She set down her fork, turned toward me. "Can I ask you something?" "Sure." "Why'd you let me in?" "That first day. After everything." I sat back, thought about it. "I don't know," I admitted. Part of me wanted to slam the door. But another part couldn't. "You looked like you were drowning. And I still knew how to swim." That made her go quiet. We sat like that for a while, the soft hum of the fridge filling the silence. Then she said, "Do you ever think about what would have happened if I hadn't left?" "Every damn day." She nodded slowly. I used to lay awake at Amber's thinking the same thing, playing the wedding in my head, wondering what our kid would have looked like if things had stayed on track. I glanced at her belly. "They probably would have looked the same," I said. She smiled sad, sweet. "Maybe." We moved to the couch. The TV played in the background, something neither of us really watched. We just talked. She told me about the nausea, the weird cravings, pickles, and peanut butter, apparently, the way her back ached when she sat too long. She told me she'd started journaling, trying to track her thoughts before they spiraled. She even shared a few pages, written in that same loopy handwriting, about how terrified she was of being a single mom. I listened, not just with my ears, but with everything in me. At one point, she leaned her head against my shoulder. I stiffened, just for a second. But then I relaxed. She was warm, and it felt good. Familiar. Not rushed. Not forced. Just right. "Is this okay?" she whispered. "Yeah," I said. "Yeah, it is." The weight of her against me was like a memory I didn't know I'd missed until it came back. My fingers brushed her forearm lightly. She didn't move away. We didn't kiss. We didn't talk about love. It was quieter than that. Deeper. Eventually, she dozed off. And I let her. I sat there in the dark, holding a woman I used to call home, trying to figure out if maybe, just maybe, I could still call her that again. My mind kept jumping ahead to what would come next. The test results. The conversations with our families. The stuff we hadn't touched yet, like where we'd live, how we'd raise a kid together if we weren't officially together, or what we'd do if the feelings weren't enough anymore. But for that moment, none of that mattered. Because she was here. We were here. And that felt like the first real win in a long, long time. She stayed the night. We didn't sleep together, not like that. But she slept in my bed, curled up on the left side like she used to, and I stayed beside her, fully dressed, eyes wide open, staring at the ceiling for hours. The room smelled like her again. It messed with my head. She mumbled in her sleep a few times. I didn't catch the words. But once, just before dawn, she rolled toward me and rested her hand on my chest. I didn't move. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel alone. The paternity test results came in 2 days later. Jess forwarded the email. My heart was pounding when I clicked it open, like I was about to find out if my whole future was real or some elaborate hallucination. Probability of paternity, 99.99%. I didn't cry. I didn't freak out. I just sat still for a long time. The answer had been sitting in my gut for weeks. I think I knew. Still, seeing it in black and white, it hit different. I called her. She answered on the first ring. It's mine, I said. I know, she whispered. We didn't say anything for a moment. Then she said, how do you feel? I laughed. Not because it was funny. More like I had too much in me and that was the only sound that came out. Terrified, I said. Overwhelmed. A little sick, honestly. But kind of happy too. She didn't say anything right away. But I could hear her breathing. I could feel her smiling through the phone. We spent the weekend together. Nothing dramatic. Just slow, quiet hours, grocery shopping, watching reruns, sharing space again. She told her parents we were talking again. Her mom was hesitant. Her dad apparently said something like, well, he didn't run. That's something. I told my mom too. That didn't go great. She was cold about it. Said things like, you're a grown man. I'm not getting involved, but I could tell she wasn't thrilled. She never forgave Jess for the breakup. And honestly, I'm not sure she ever liked her to begin with. But this wasn't about her. This was my life. And for the first time, it felt like I was the one choosing what happened next, not just reacting to the chaos. Jess started moving some of her stuff back in. Not everything. We were still figuring it out. She kept a lot at Amber's, just in case, and I didn't push her on it. One night, we sat on the balcony, the one she used to fill with plants, and she said, I don't want to rush anything. I don't want to fall into old habits and pretend like nothing happened. Good, I said. Because I'm not the same person I was before. Neither am I. She sipped her tea, then added, but I still love you. That part didn't change. I looked at her, her hand resting on her belly, her eyes glassy in the moonlight. I never stopped, I said, even when I wanted to. She reached over and took my hand. And that was it. Not a proposal. Not some grand movie moment. Just us. Choosing to stay. Choosing to try. We've got a long road ahead. There's therapy. Real talks. Sleepless nights. Diapers. Money stress. Trust that still needs rebuilding. And some part of me still wonders, what if she changes her mind again? What if she panics? But here's the thing. I've changed too. I'm not the guy who'll let his whole world break without fighting for it. I'm not naive, not anymore. But I'm not bitter, either. Some people get clean breaks. Some get dramatic endings. I got a second chance that showed up on my doorstep, scared and pregnant, asking if I could still listen. And I did. I'm going to be a dad. We're going to figure the rest out one messy, honest day at a time. And yeah, I still have the ring. Still in that drawer. Not now. Not yet. But maybe someday. When we're both ready. And this time, we'll write a story that doesn't end with walking away. It starts with staying.